and welcome to the Twiggs County Board of Education meeting. Thank you to our in-person and online communities and stakeholders for joining us this evening. It is my pleasure to call the Twiggs County Board of Education meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, August 9th, 2022, and the time is 6:03 p.m. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting, Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. Just one typo, not an error, just in our business agenda item B. We're going to make that contracted services an action item, not an information item. Everything else will remain as printed. I have a motion.
Move that motion.
Motion's been properly made by Ms. Blackshear to accept tonight's agenda, Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by District 3, Ms. Rhonda King. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye, raising your hand. You accept the motion to approve tonight's agenda. Aye. Any opposers? No opposers. That motion carries unanimously. Now that we have accepted our agenda for tonight's meeting, may I have a motion to approve the minutes for our July 12th, 2022 BOE regular session meeting, and also our July 26th, 2022 BOE call session.
I'll make that motion.
The motion has been properly made to accept our BOE regular session and our BOE called session July 12th and July 26th. May I have a second?
Second.
Motion has been properly seconded by Vice Chairman Mr. Rouse. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye, raising your hand if you accept the July 12th and July 26th BOE regular and call session minutes. Aye. Any opposers? No opposers. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. At this time, Ms. Blackshear, will you render us an ethics statement?
Yes. Thank you. In accordance with regulations set forth by the Georgia Ethics Commission, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and interest of such conflict. Does any board member have any known conflicts of interest? Seeing none, Mr. Chair, we will proceed with our agenda.
Thank you, Madam Blackshear. At this time, do any of our board members have any comments or would like to make any remarks?
Yes, Mr. Bacon. I'm very proud of you. You got our road graded and gravel on it for our school kids down on my end of the county. Thank you.
Well, Ms. Stokes made it sound like you got the backhoe yourself, Mr. Bacon. But I know because you're so industrious and resourceful that you had a hand in an improvement of that road. So on behalf of the board and Ms. Shirley Stokes, we'd like to say thank you for the work that you do to make sure that our scholars are safe and that our buses are able to get to our scholars. Thank you. Any other board members? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Stokes, for your comments. Thank you, board members, for being in attendance tonight. And Dr. Bullock, we yield to you for your superintendent's comments and remarks. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair,
Proceed.
Mr. Vice Chair, board members, all of our constituents that are with us in person tonight, and those that have joined us virtually. Good evening to all of our families and community members. We are excited that we have started another great opening of school for the 2022-23 school year. We've had a wonderful opening of school, and we are excited as all of our administrators, faculties, and staff are committed each and every day, fulfilling our mission, which is to inspire, challenge, and prepare all of our students to compete globally. Our scholars' growth and success is why we are here, and we are honored to have the privilege to serve our scholars and their families each and every day. We will be providing many exciting new opportunities to our scholars and families this year to enrich their learning experiences and increase parental engagement. And one upcoming event is happening this week, and that is Exercise with Your Child Week from August the 7th through August the 13th. Everybody say exercise with your child.
Exercise with your child.
Exercise with your child. That is an official week, and we are participating in Exercise with Your Child Week. Parents, we have put on the Facebook pages of all of the schools different dance videos and some other family exercise videos for you to participate in getting physically fit and getting moving with your children on this week in celebration of having an opportunity to engage with them as they learn and increasing that parental engagement. Our big culminating event this week will be on this Thursday evening, August the 11th, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And that's going to be at the Twiggs County Middle High School gym. And that event is called Family Fitness Night. That will be this Thursday evening from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And parents and scholars, we invite you to come out and to enjoy, again, that large culminating event. Mercer University, Athletic Department, the Twiggs County Family Connection, and our very own Miss Marcarios Sampson, our family liaison, will be sponsoring that family night, family fitness night event. And they're going to have stations such as basketball drills. We're going to get your heart rate up so that we can burn some of those calories. We're going to also have, what would you do? Eat X or work out? And then the athletic department chair is going to tell you the benefits or not benefits of each of those. There's going to be a Zumba class in place for you to participate in Zumba. We're going to walk it out. You're going to
I love that.
You're going to have an opportunity to get your exercise on and walk a little bit with your scholars. And we're also going to have some light, simple weightlifting sessions as well for you all to exercise your muscles. Of course, we're going to have water breaks, healthy snacks, and some giveaways that our partner, Mercer University, will be bringing in celebration of this week. So parents and students, let's come out and get on the move and exercise with your child this week. And we look forward to seeing you on Thursday night at Twiggs County Middle High School for our family fitness. Again, we're excited about our new school year. All of these great opportunities are there to make sure our scholars excel. And parents, we want you to participate with us. Mr. Chair, that concludes my comment.
Thank you, Dr. Bullard. We've heard our superintendent's comments and remarks, and we govern ourselves accordingly to the dates and times. And if you can, show up board members as well as our stakeholders. Well, at this time, if no other board members or superintendent have any remarks or comments before we enter into our business agenda, we will proceed with our agenda as printed. Business agenda item A. This is safety update. This is an information item being presented by our Assistant Superintendent and CFO, Mr. James Austin. Good evening, Mr. Austin.
Good evening, Board Chair,
Proceed.
Vice Chair, Board members, Dr. Bullard, constituents in person and virtually. I have the opportunity to talk about our safety plans in Twiggs County Public Schools, and I am sure that it aligns with our vision to generate excellence, one team, one goal, and our mission to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally. What you see before you is a 5-phase plan, and this plan is designed to ensure the community, our internal stakeholders understand that we do have a plan of action to address safety. There's been a lot of things happening around the world in the news regarding our schools, from active threats to active shootings, and we want to ensure that we are very proactive and not always reactive. So in phase one, we have the opportunity to talk about safety training, conduct surveys, and we place an emphasis on an SRO, or school resource officer, to be hired in the district. So some of those things that our chief of police, along with the SRO, did have the opportunity to conduct safety trainings during the new teacher orientation week. It was a very productive session. It allowed us to analyze the shooting that took place in Texas, go through drills, and have the staff provide us feedback on their concerns as well. We did have a survey. We'll use that data from the staff survey, which was primarily our certified staff. And we are not excluding our classified staff. We have plans as well to provide training and focus efforts in that area as well. And that data will be very important in telling us what our true concerns are. And of course, you all as a board agreed to allow us to have an SRO at the elementary school, and we're very grateful and thankful. Boots on the ground and having someone in a uniform matters. And it is a natural deterrent, so we're very excited our elementary school has that SRO. Phase two, district level site assessment. Myself, along with Mr. Bacon, Mr. Basley, other leaders, chief of police, we have been boots on the ground in the schools, looking at our areas of concerns, our existing technologies, our infrastructure. We want to have a great and a good understanding of what we have in place and what we can improve. So we did go through, make notes, and we used those notes as well from a district level review to get an understanding along with the school level and their input. Phase three is about outside review. Our eyes are good, but having an unbiased opinion is great. So we'll invite external parties such as our local law enforcement agencies such as GEMA, who focuses on school safety audits and then provide us a recommendation on areas of concerns. And also we'll work, and I've communicated, chief of police have communicated with the GBI as well to ensure that they have laid eyes on our safety plans. We don't want to leave anything for chance, and we want to ensure that our stakeholders know that we've taken every precaution to enhance our plans. Phase four, the safety plan revision. We want to ensure that our plan encompasses all of the recommendations, stakeholder engagement, feedback from phase 1 through 3. And this will allow us to revise our plan to ensure that it accommodates all of the nuances of safety. For example, the plan now will include something concerning pandemic or epidemic. And so having these different things in place, outlining more now crisis teams and how we respond to certain things. So we want to ensure that that's a document we're not putting on the shelf, that is a document that we live and breathe daily in our schools. And our last step is the strategy implementation. Before we start to invest dollars into any investment opportunity, we want to make sure that what we have works. If it does not work, we want to assess that, and we want to expand among our existing infrastructure. The operations department and technology in the past 2 years have done a phenomenal job in laying the foundation for our safety. We have a lot of things in place, and we're looking to provide more infrastructure. We have people actually coming this week that will take a look at that and give us an idea of how can we expand on our existing investments. So we will honor that. So in all, we are extremely focused on safety. I have personally walked around. I have been working with the chief of police, ensuring that it's a high priority. The school leadership, from the principal at JES to the middle high school, have done a great job in preparing their staff, having their documents in order. So we all on the same page. And I just want the community to know, you as board members as well, that Twiggs County Public Schools, we are definitely ensuring that our stakeholders are safe. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
There are no questions for Mr. Austin. Thank you for your presentation. We'll move to business agenda item B. This is contracted service. This is an action item being presented by our Director of Special Education, Mr. Brian Howell. Good evening, Mr. Howell.
Good evening, Board Chair Harris,
Proceed.
Vice Chair Rouse, board members, Dr. Bullock, everyone that's in the audience, and virtual. Today we'll be talking about our contract-related services. But before we talk about that, we need to talk about our vision. Our vision is to generate excellence, one team, one goal. Our mission is to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally. In this case, we want to make sure that all of our students are getting the services they need to compete globally. The contract-related services that we offer right now in Twiz County are physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, and school psychology. The first one we'll discuss is our physical therapy. The physical therapy promotes motor development and student participation in everyday routines and activities that are part of our students' program. As you can see, it helps with our students stretching and sometimes helps with students be able to walk. Some students are able to help even sit up a little bit better in different places. As you can see, what's in bold print is what we have right now is service that we use. Middle Georgia RESA, the Luma services that we have a contract with, they serve about 10 students at $175 per week with a total cost of $6,300 for the year. Pro Care Therapy put the bid in for $17,922. The Stepping Stone Group put the bid in for $18,432. Our next service that we look at is occupational therapy. The occupational therapist addresses the physical, cognitive, and psychosocial and sensory components of performance, including but not limited to fine motor skills, gross motor skills, handwriting, and spacing. As you can see right here, it assists with somebody handwriting and also just the fine motor skills that our students do need. The current service that we have that's in bold print is Haynes Therapy. She serves about 20 students at $520 per week with a total cost of $18,720 for 36 weeks. Illuma Services put a bid in for $38,000, and the Stepping Stone Group put a bid in for $19,432. Speech language therapy. The speech language pathology works with students with communication disorders, including but not limited to articulation, production of sounds, language expression, and receptive. We currently use Speech Therapy Unlimited, LLC. She serves about 35 students at $1,569.44 per week with a total cost of $56,500. Luma Services put a bid in for $66,500, and the Stepping Stone Group put a bid in for $58,752. And the final service that we offer is school psychology. Our school psychologist, the psychologist completes evaluations, initials, and reevaluation, screenings for MTSS, classroom observation, and provides guidance for functional behavior assessment and behavior intervention plan. We currently use Dr. William Evans. He serves all of our PEC students. That's about $630 per week with a total cost of $30,240. Illumina Services put a bid in for $37,000, and the Stepping Stone had a bid in for $33,600. Any questions?
I was going to say, Mr. Chair, if I can, please. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we received the paperwork, but however, the bids are not in the packet. So if we can, I mean, other board members, do y'all have the bids? You know, he's saying we got 38,000, 19,000 from the different companies, the vendors that didn't on the job.
The most recent presentation that you presented tonight
Yes, sir.
with the bids from three companies.
Yes, sir.
Presentation pack. So
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. We don't have the bids. We have just the one cost.
But
we
you don't have the
a
other two?
one.
Okay, you don't.
So what she's asking for is
Oh, okay.
That has the cost with the three vendors. We only have the one vendor
Okay, I'm sorry.
cost.
We'll move on, and as Ms. Collins gets those copies, we'll put that business agenda item at the bottom and bring it back, so we'll have time to review it.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We'll push business agenda item B when we exit executive session and come back. Thank you, Ms. Blackshear. Thank you, Mr. Howell. Business agenda item C, knowledge resource group. This is an information item being presented by Ms. Dasikas. Good evening. Your first presentation.
Yes,
Our
sir.
Director
Good
of
evening.
Human Resources. Good evening.
Thank you for welcoming me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited about being able to present this to each of you. So good evening again, Chairman Harris. Good evening, Vice Chairman Rouse. Good evening, board members, and Dr. Bullard, Superintendent. Welcome to all of our constituents here in the audience with us, and we'd like to welcome those of you that are joining us online as well. This is a very exciting presentation to me because I think you will see that as we go through this information about Knowledge Resources Group, you will see how it aligns with our vision, which is generating excellence, one team, one goal. And I think you're going to see how we're going to be able to support our mission even more, which is to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally. Now, you will often hear me refer to Knowledge Resources Group as KRG, and they are formally known as Global Teachers. And I just want to give you a little background about KRG. They are located in Atlanta, Georgia. They are very familiar with our Georgia school systems and what we require as far as certification, recruitment, and those types of things for our teachers. And they are actively engaged and involved in the recruitment process for teachers. And they work with school systems across the state, across the Southeast, to help us find teachers, especially in hard-to-fill areas. And I'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Now, just to give you a little background, we have 4 staff members that we work with closely with KRG. Mr. Bahish Bigala is the owner of KRG. Dr. Patty Sharma is the education consultant with KRG. And you will see in a few minutes that Dr. Sharma actually was the one who started this organization. Dr. Morris Blassingame, who is a former HR recruiter, is Vice President of Marketing and Teacher Support. And Mr. Rossi McCarver, who has also been a Human Resources Manager in several school districts across the state, is the Manager of Human Resources with KRG. Now, KRG began as Global Teachers about 22 years ago. Dr. Sharma realized that the United States was facing a huge shortage of teachers. And so her goal was to try to bring some international teachers to the United States so they could come in and teach in our American school systems and help our students learn and grow. She owned the company for about 15 years. And then in 2015, she sold the company as Global Teachers Research and Resources. And now the name is Knowledge Resources Group. So you will see that this organization has been in the state, in the Southeast, for a long time. These teachers that come with KRG, that are recruited to come to our area, are experienced international teachers. They typically are excelling and exceeding in the expectations in the classroom where they currently are. And they often have certifications that we typically have a hard time finding. Special ed, math, science. And when they come to the United States to teach, they are bringing that culture to our students that we so want our students to see. So they are giving our students a taste of what our students can go out in the future and see globally. They give them the opportunity to experience what they have experienced in their own countries. And so they come to us from various countries. We have teachers across the state from India, from West Africa. We have some from China, from the Dominican Republic, and there are various other countries, Britain. There's so many different places that they come from. So what we find when we work with Knowledge Resources Group is that these teachers come, and they come to stay for a while. When they come to us, they come on a 5-year visa. So not only is that great for them, it's great for us because it helps with our retention and our retention strategies. KRG helps us by managing all of that recruitment process. They manage the training. They work with them on their visas and other processes that have to take place before they can come to the United States and stay. Now, you will see as we go through this that there are 11 different school systems that KRG is currently partnering with. And a majority of those school systems are right here in the state of Georgia. They do partner with several school systems in Florida and in South Carolina. But we do see a majority of them coming into the state of Georgia. What is most important to KRG, and of course it's very important to those of us that recruit and work hard to retain teachers, is that they focus on making sure that the teachers that come to work with us are excellent representatives for our school district and to the public. They want to make sure that the teachers they bring to us are presenting the image that we want presented as an organization. So with that said, KRG works very, very hard to make sure that they comply with all of the immigration laws that are applicable when they come over to the United States. And they make sure that they follow this law explicitly. And they make sure that there's no discrimination and no unauthorized non-U.S. citizens that come over to work with them. 1986, there was a new Immigration Reform and Control Act that went into law, and this is the law that requires all employees to fill out an eligibility verification form called the I-9 form. All of our employees fill it out. KRG takes this responsibility, and they go through the process with each teacher, and they make sure that they have completed all of the steps before they ever recommend someone to us. Now, there are some great benefits that we can have by working with KRG teachers. Of course, KRG makes sure that they comply with Social Security law. They make sure they provide them with workers' compensation and unemployment insurance. And they cover all of this for these teachers that come to the States. As we all know, Social Security is something that is a requirement. And while we take that out of for our employees, KRG makes sure that that is taken care of with those teachers that come to the States. Now, when we work with KRG, we enter into what we call a teacher service agreement, okay? And it's similar to a contract that we would give our new teachers and our teachers here every year. But that contract or that agreement begins the first work day of the school year or the first work day that the teacher comes to our district. Now, at the end of the year, that teacher service agreement will renew for an additional 1-year term unless we choose to sever that relationship. And we can do that. KRG asked that we give them an intent of separation 30 calendar days prior to when we want that to take place. Otherwise, they were automatically renewed, just like we would do with our teachers. But the great thing about this is that KRG supplies these teachers to us when they are needed on an as-needed basis. So we are not obligated to them to accept any teachers that we do not feel are the right fit for our district, and we make the decision on who we choose to accept. So it's a great opportunity for us. Now, this is kind of where the rubber meets the road when we talk about compensation. We do pay Knowledge Resources Group a fee every month for the teacher that comes to our district that they help us with. The annual fee, and I want to make sure I clarify that, the annual fee for each teacher that comes to our school district is $10,000. But I want to break some of that information down for you. All of the teachers that we bring on board through the state that are United States citizens, whenever we bring them on board, we pay into Teacher Retirement System. You will hear TRS. If you look at the information, that is an average of $13,691 that we as a district spend on a teacher every year. KRG provides retirement to their teachers. We do not. We also spend on average $11,340 in health insurance. KRG provides that to their teachers. We spend $5,287.24 on average for FICA taxes, and that is a cost that KRG takes on. So if you look at the total of what we as a district incur when we bring on a teacher, and this is in addition to salary, it's $30,318.24. If you subtract the $10,000 fee that we pay Knowledge Resources Group, we will actually save $20,318.24 for every teacher from KRG that we bring to our district. Now, the good thing about working with Knowledge Resources Group is that the duties are divided up. We are a partner with them. KRG provides certain duties and provides certain things for us as a school district. They make sure that before they are placed in our district, that they are qualified, they have the appropriate certification, they have the appropriate qualifications, and they are eligible to work in the United States. They work closely with the Georgia Professional Standards Commission to make sure that they have the correct certification to be able to go into the classroom that we would like them to go into. And they also provide to us a proof of liability insurance and workers' compensation coverage. Now, as a district, we agree to provide them with sick, personal, and vacation days and professional days, just like we would any of our other teachers that we employ as a district. We also agree to take on the cost of any substitute teacher that they would need, just like we do with our other teachers. And we also agree to provide them with the orientation that they will need about our federal laws, our state laws, and our local rules and regulations that we expect all of our other teachers to comply with. And then we also make sure that they are aware of our school district's website, and we make sure that they have access to that and that they can look up those policies and procedures that we give to our other teachers as well. Now, if we get a teacher that we decide that we don't want to keep, we do have the right in our sole discretion to notify KRG in writing, and after that 30 days, we can actually separate with that teacher. Knowledge Resources Group will look to find us a replacement, but we make the decision to who we replace them with. We are not bound to keep that teacher after that 30 days. If we cannot find a replacement, then our obligation to compensate KRG ends with the day that the teacher leaves. And it is prorated based on the number of days that that teacher works. Knowledge Resources Group then takes the responsibility of making sure that that replacement teacher or that teacher that has been there, they take on that responsibility to get them moved and placed wherever they go next. Okay? One thing that we have found throughout the past 15 to 20 years is that we often have teachers that are part of this organization that end up staying. Okay, their visa's good for 5 years, and then they can go and return and renew that visa. And after 12 to 15 years, they can get a permanent resident green card. And we find that they come to the States and they do stay, which is a great retention tool. They do stay, they become a part of the culture, they become a part of that school, and they get actively involved in the community. In 2022, there were 20 KRG teachers across Georgia and Florida that were eligible for their green card. And you can see the breakdown of how many in each county that were eligible for that. So that shows you the staying power of these teachers. They come, they stay, and they get excited about what we have to offer and what we're doing. I've also included, as I close, some testimonies from several teachers that have been in districts across the state. But I also have a special testimony that if I could ask a few people to share, we have 2 individuals here tonight who have been principals who have actually worked with international teachers. So I would like to ask them, if they don't mind, if they would share a little bit with you about their experience. You can read this, but when you have a personal experience of what these principals have seen and done, they can really share with you how exciting this is.
Good afternoon, Board Chair Harris, Vice Chair Rouse, board members, Superintendent, Dr. McBullard, all of our visitors, as well as our stakeholders listening virtually. I had the pleasure of serving as a middle school principal with 2 international teachers. It was a pleasure to serve with them because they came eager to teach our scholars the areas of math and science content. They came rich with instructional strategies. They shared the strategies that they used in China, but they also shared strategies that they learned here They were eager to build relationships with students to learn the American way, but they also taught our students about their culture and how they lived and the foods that they used, well, the foods that they ate in their culture as compared to what we would eat in our culture. And so what was profound about it is they had that global experience in the classroom, and that's what we want to encourage for our scholars as well. But they also learned the important lesson of being culturally responsive in the way that they think as students. Culturally responsive teaching is very important, so they offered that lens to our students. Then they also offered it to themselves. So I had a great experience. I had the pleasure of working with them for 3 years, and they're still at their current location now.
Board Chair Harris, Board Chair Rouse, board members, and constituents here and virtually. At Southwest High School, where I was a principal, it's very difficult to get science teachers, especially your advanced science. I had a teacher from Britain, and of course, the language wasn't a language barrier. She was speaking English with an accent. We were speaking English with an accent. So it was difficult at first, but the kids got used to her, and we had a good teacher. She stayed with me for 3 years, and we had very good test scores. That's when the graduation test determined whether you marched or not. And we were able to increase our graduation test scores in science by about 25%. So that means a lot more students got to march across the stage the first time. So that was a really big deal back then when that all counted. So she was instrumental in that. So I would say we need to be very careful in who we pick and interview them. Like you said, we get that opportunity to make sure it's a right fit. But they're eager and willing, and we need the help. So if it's an opportunity out there, we definitely need to take it.
Thank you. As I close and open the floor to questions from you, I'd just like to say this is an excellent, excellent opportunity for us to bring in some face-to-face teachers to come in to some of those hard-to-fill areas. It will also, like they said, help us bring some of that global perspective into our classroom to entice and encourage our students to, in the future, go out globally and to be successful and to reach out globally and not just in this area. Questions?
Do we do a background check on these teachers?
Yes, ma'am.
I presume the company does, but do we do it too?
They do. They go through all of the same background checks. They go through all of the same things that we require of the teachers that we bring on board here. So, in fact, it's probably a little more extensive. And they go through every background check. They go through all of the immigration process so that they can come and teach in our schools. The Professional Standards Commission, which certificates all of our teachers, they actually are required to send every one of their transcripts to them, and they go through those transcripts, they look at everything to make sure that they are credentialed just like we would credential our teachers here in the United States.
With our Spanish, so do you think that this will help us with our Spanish?
Definitely. I have actually worked with several teachers in the past, and a lot of them do come over and they come into our foreign language classrooms and they bring the language to the students in a completely different way. They are, being a native speaker, you've always heard you have to be immersed in the language to actually learn it, and that's what they do. They immerse these students in that language, in that culture, so that they really get an idea of what it's like.
I did talk to a board member from Newton County, and she talk very highly of the science.
Yes, yes. They're very well trained and very well qualified.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to pay the $10,000 first before we actually get a chance to see the applicants that we are maybe looking at?
No, we actually go through the process of looking at the applicants with them. And once we make a selection on who we would like to bring into the district, we pay Knowledge Resources on a monthly basis. Okay? And so if for whatever reason we have to separate, that amount is prorated based on the number of days that they actually work in the district. So for example, if we paid them for 5 months, the monthly amount, we would break down what the average cost was per day and look at what we had already paid them to see if we owe them anything or if we are credited something back.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Austin, can we afford these people? You're the finance guy, so.
They will be supporting positions that are existing vacancies. So we have allotted funding from the state to support those positions. It's just another mechanism for recruitment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Dasikis. Business agenda item D, milestones. Information item being presented by Curriculum and Instruction Department, Ms. Miriam Reardon. Good evening, Ms. Reardon.
Good evening, Board Chair Harris,
Proceed.
Vice Chair Rouse, board members, Superintendent Dr. Mack Bullard, and stakeholders. Tonight I'm going to be sharing with you the milestones results. They are no longer embargoed, so they can be released to the public. And these scores represent the work that has been done for the last year and for some students in multiple years. This aligns with our vision, generating excellence, one team, one goal, and our mission to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally. As I begin the presentation with the milestone scores, what I want to remind you about is the fact that we are in a pandemic, in case you didn't know. And the state school superintendent, Woods, truly believes in compassion over compliance. We talked about this a lot last year when we presented the milestone scores. Our request last year was that we are not compared to other districts because other districts did not experience the pandemic in the same way that we did here in Twiggs. There were no districts that experienced it in the same way, no households that have experienced it in the same way. This year, as we worked with the United States Department of Education, State School Superintendent Woods now has requested, and it was approved, that we have a new baseline. So now we will not be comparing ourselves to years past where we would have to exceed a goal where we were last year to improve our test scores. We're starting over with a clean slate. So that's why this says baseline, we will grow from here, that we will have a new baseline for all these scores. So what you see is ground zero now. We're back to where, and this is what we align ourselves with for our students, is right where we are today as we're coming out of the most stressful time of the pandemic. We're going to start with third grade. That's where we first start testing with the milestones. Milestones ELA scores, we are looking at our system, Twiggs County, compared to Middle Georgia RESA schools, compared to the state. So Twiggs County had 15% of our third grade students scored in the levels 3 and 4, which are proficient and above. That's the proficient and distinguished categories. third grade Lexile. And I'm bringing out the Lexile scores because that was one of our goals last year, was to improve the Lexile scores. And the Lexile is also what is showing to you our students' ability to read and comprehend what they're reading. So our students, third grade, our Lexile scores, you see in front of you that we have 51% of our students are scoring on grade level or above. The on grade level are the ones that say within the stretch band, and above the stretch band means they're above the grade level. So we were outperforming the RESA and the state in third grade. We were right with the RESA and the state in the third grade. I'm sorry, I had to look at that again. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Then we see third grade math. We have 35% of our students scoring proficient and above. We're not very far off from where RESA and the state are. Fourth grade ELA. Fourth grade, 40% of our students are scoring levels 3 and above, proficient and distinguished. So we are scoring above the RESA and the state. Fourth grade Lexile, 65% of our students are reading on grade level and above. And this outperforms the RESA and the state. Fourth grade math, 31% of our students are scoring proficient and above. And I'm going through this a little fast because you've had this in front of you for a few days to digest. And it's a lot of data. Fifth grade ELA. Our students were scoring, 22% of them were proficient and above. Fifth grade Lexile. 53% of our students are reading on grade level or above. Fifth grade math, and we've had this conversation many times that math is our area of greatest need as we're going into this up and coming school year. Our students, 14% of them were scoring proficient and above. Fifth grade science, that's the first time they're tested in science. 19% of our students were scoring proficient and above. Then we move to middle school. Sixth grade ELA, 14% of them are scoring proficient and above. Sixth grade Lexile levels, 38% of our students are reading on grade level or above. Sixth grade math, 2% of our students were scoring proficient or distinguished in levels 3 and 4. And remember again, this is our new baseline. We go up from here. Seventh grade ELA, 21% of our students are scoring proficient and above. Seventh grade Lexile, 44% of our students are reading on grade level or above. Seventh grade math, 10% of our students are proficient and distinguished in math. Eighth grade ELA, 13% of our students are proficient and above. Eighth grade Lexile, 42% of our students are reading on grade level or above. Eighth grade math, 6% of our students are distinguished and proficient. Eighth grade science, again, this is the second time they're tested in science. 4% of our students are proficient and above. Eighth grade social studies, this is the first time they are tested in social studies. 6% of our students are proficient and above. Then we move to high school, American Lit and Composition. And in this course, there are multiple grade levels that are in this course, so I'm just classifying this as high school. 13% of our students are proficient and above. The Lexile for high school comes out of the American Literature and Composition test. Our Lexile is 49% of our students are reading on grade level or above. Algebra 1, 2% of our students are reading on, 2% of our students in math are scoring proficient and distinguished. Biology, 11% of our students are levels 3 and 4, proficient and distinguished. United States history, and this score includes our AP students and our regular U.S. history students who were taking this test. And this is 14% of our students scored proficient and distinguished. A reminder, this is our new baseline. This is ground zero, and we move up from here. I wanted to point out some things from prior years that we will discuss in just a moment. CCRPI scores, we will not have the CCRPI scores this year as they have been done in the past, but one of the markers for CCRPI were the percentage of students who took the test. And so what you're looking at here is the goal is to have 95% or more students testing. Jeffersonville Elementary had an average of 98% of their students testing, and that average is an average of grade levels and content areas. So I took all that together, and that's where we got the average. Some of these grade levels and some of these content areas had 100% of their students testing during a pandemic. Twiggs County Middle School, their average of grade levels and content areas was 98.5%. Twiggs County High School, their average of all the content areas was 95.25%. And we've identified some areas that we can do going into this upcoming school year already to just improve this percentage. It's not a matter of getting the students. That's the only thing is not just to get the students here, is to clean up our records of the students that we have or do not have enrolled with us prior to going into testing. And that's some of the things that we will take care of with a laser focus this year. So what I was talking about some of the things I wanted to compare, I want you to see some of the celebrations from this past year for our scores. If we go back to 2021, that was the year before, you can see here that our Lexile levels, our goal was to grow by 3%. We grew by 15% from 2021 to 2022 in third grade Lexiles. That is a significant gain. You see that, yes, that deserves some recognition. You see 8th grade grew by 5%. Our goal was to grow by 3%, so they grew by 5%. And high school grew by 7%, which the higher level they get, the harder it is to grow them. Then we look at the proficiency rates for ELA and math in third grade. You see back prior to the pandemic, which is 2019, we were at 30% of our students were proficient. Then we grew to 31% of our students last year, and then we had a drop. So we know that's an area of focus for us. 2019 math was 33% proficient, and then we dropped after the pandemic to 6%. But we rebounded higher than where we were prior to the pandemic with a 29% gain in math in third grade. That is a huge gain. Fifth grade, prior to the pandemic, 2019, 17%. 2021, after or during the pandemic, we had 17%, and here we are this past year. Our goal was 3%. We had a 5% gain. So we made gains still in these areas. Looking at math, which is one of our areas of greatest need, we're looking at in 2019, we had 8% of our students prior to the pandemic. Then 5% of our students last year, and a 9% gain to 14% of our, 9% gain gave us 14% of our students scoring proficient. So again, our goal was 3%. We beat that. Then we look at 8th grade. Look at 8th grade math. Prior to the pandemic, we had 39% of our students were proficient. Then after the pandemic, like much of the United States, we really suffered in math. We had 0% of our students the year before last who were scoring proficient or above, but our goal was 3%, and we made 6%. So we are working and we are rebounding. Graduation rate. Prior to the pandemic, we were outscoring the state of Georgia with our graduation rate. Then as we went into the pandemic, we had some losses there. We discussed that last year, but we have rebounded. The actual scores are not out yet. It's going to be about another month to 6 weeks before those actual percentages are out, but we project, based on our scores, to be somewhere around 82.5% graduation rate. So we have made some gains based on our numbers. And so what are we going to do about this? Some of the things that we're talking about, and you do not have this in your presentation, but as we have discussed this past week, I decided to just give you a snapshot of some of the plans that we have. We have put in place professional learning for our teachers, building instructional strategies and content support, targeted math skills with remediation. iReady is put in place for reading and math. We're monitoring our standards of excellence and the implementation of those. We're benchmarking 3 times a year with iReady, Beacon, and Right Score at the elementary school, and Right Score and at the middle school, elementary and middle school, and we're using Right Score and STAR at the high school. And with this, we will adjust instruction. There will be data talks in the PLCs, professional learning communities, with the teachers and administration. We will take these data talks to the students, discussing this with the students, goal setting with the students. We have STEM scopes. We've had it, and we're continuing to implement STEM scopes and some global learning experiences. There will be one August the 17th. That's going to be a really exciting day to truly fulfill our mission, being having our students competing globally. Georgia Studies Weekly for our 1st through 6th grades. Leveled readers for all content areas in all grade levels, K through 12. Supplemental remediation curriculum and personalized instruction. And like I said, this is just a small snapshot of the work that's been put in place over the summertime. Administration and teachers have been working really hard to put things in place to go up from our new baseline. Are there any questions?
Are we sitting it at 3%?
3% is typical for school improvement growth. That's typical what you would shoot for. We always want more, but it's typical to shoot for 3%.
Board members, any more questions for Ms. Reardon? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Reardon.
Thank you.
Business agenda item E, personalized learning, FY 2022-2023. Our rollout information item being presented by Director of Teaching and Learning, personalized learning, Ms. Shiona Drummond.
Thank you.
Try to add some duties to you.
All right, I welcome those added duties. So to you, Board Chair Harris, Vice Chair Rouse, all board members, our Superintendent, Dr. Mac Bullard, all stakeholders in person and virtual, good evening. I am excited to present to you our rollout for this academic year. I would like to begin by visiting our vision and mission statement. So it excites me to be a part of a school district that has a vision of generating excellence, one team, one goal, and a mission to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally. I would like to review with everyone what personalized learning is. Personalized learning is a different way of approaching education, so it's a paradigm shift. So it's a pivot from what we've done in decades past. It is focused on putting our learners, our scholars, in the driver's seat rather than the car seat. It is also proven ways to meet the specific needs and skills of our scholars based on their interests. Let's talk about what personalized learning is not. It is not deficit-based. So it is not based on what our scholars are lacking, but rather on what they bring to the table. And it is also not teacher-focused. It is more so focused on the scholars and their futures. So under the personalized learning umbrella, there are two zones that I work in. The first is as a support for the GREAT initiative, and the second one is as a coordinator or facilitator for the Twigs Online Academy, which you'll hear me call TOA. So let's first focus on the GREAT initiative. Now, GREAT stands for Georgia's Restart, Embrace, Engage, Expand, and Enhance Learning with Technology. So those are the 4 E's that make up the GREAT. So because we are a part of the GREAT initiative, we receive support from personalized learning specialists and other support staff from the Department of Education. And they use our school data to personalize the services that each of our schools. The GREAT initiative always puts our learners first, and it helps, the initiative, one of the goals is to help our scholars build their sense of agency. We have PL design teams, so personalized learning design teams at each of our schools, and those consist of stakeholders, which are teachers, family members, community members, anyone who's interested in seeing our scholars grow academically. And all the work that the GREAT initiative does is research informed, meaning that it again pulls from the school data, but also follows Georgia's 10 standards for personalized learning. Again, because we are part of the GREAT initiative, we receive support from Kennesaw State University's Instructional Technology and iTeach departments. These professionals offer us professional learning for our teachers and leaders in each school building. They offer whole group coaching as well as share resources that we can use in our classroom. They will also provide personalized support for teachers and leaders should they reach out to the KSU staff. I have a moment of celebration I would like to share with you all. Because of the great work that is being done in this wonderful school district, we have been invited to participate in GACES as presenters. And by we, I mean Ms. Jenkins and Ms. Boston from Jeffersonville Elementary School, along with myself. Our presentation will cover the actual implementation efforts that we put forth to implement personalized learning at JES. It will cover the best practices that we have found to work well with those scholars, and it will also cover next in our PL. So there are 10 personalized learning standards, as I just mentioned, and those come from the Georgia Department of Education. The main focus standard for all of our schools is Standard 1, which is prioritized executive function. And this is what I refer to as keeping the main thing the main thing. So we are working with our scholars to make sure that they are able to regulate their emotions, complete tasks, that they have good cognitive flexibility, they have time management skills, things along those lines. So while there are 10 standards, this is our one focus standard for each of the schools, but all 10 standards will be covered during professional learning opportunities throughout the school year for each of the schools. So again, this shows that Standard 1, prioritize executive function, is the focus standard for each of our schools. But I wanted to highlight the strategies that we're using in each of those schools. So Jeffersonville Elementary School has opted to use choice boards, and choice boards are basically a way for the scholars to demonstrate mastery of the content, to show what they know. So for Twiggs County Middle and High School, as well as for the Twiggs Online Academy, while the focus standard is still prioritize executive function, the strategy that is being used and emphasized is that of student data tracking and goal setting. So in other words, having students come up with goals at the beginning of each unit or semester, and then track their progress towards attaining those goals. So let's move on to Zone 2 under the Personalized Learning umbrella and talk about Twiggs Online Academy, or TOA. TOA is still currently for 6th through 12th grade scholars, and the platform that we are continuing to use this academic year is Edgenuity. Again, for the personalized learning standards and the strategy, we are following the same things that the middle high school are doing. And this is something new this year for TOA, being that last year was the first year TOA was in existence. We want to make sure that we're building that program too. And we are emphasizing personalized learning strategies. So for TOA, I included the goal setting and data tracking sheet. And this basically is a way for scholars to take ownership of their learning so they can look at the goals that they've set and monitor how they monitor how far they've come along on that journey to achieve those goals that they've set. Once they've achieved those goals, we'll set new ones and the cycle will continue. Are there any questions?
So the Twiggs Online Academy, this is going to be like a self-paced learning for them?
It is. So the platform that we use is Edgenuity, and Edgenuity has videos and other resources that the scholars access. It has a schedule set up for them to actually follow every day. So should they stick with that schedule, they'll be on target, is what it's referred to as, to finish by the 23rd of May. So they can move forward. Go ahead, I didn't mean
No, you're fine. No.
So they can proceed as much as they like. So if they choose to work ahead, like on the weekends, holidays, or whatnot, they do have that option. But there is a calendar, a personalized calendar for each of them inside that platform that tells them what to do each day and for how long they would probably need to work in that particular content area.
And the personalized learning, I like that students and do it their way.
That's right.
But who will be monitoring and the expectations of the students? Who will be doing the monitoring to make sure that they're doing?
In Edgenuity?
Yes, it is.
That would be me.
That will be.
Yes. I'm serving as a coordinator or facilitator for TOA. Again, this year. Yes.
Ms.
Thank you.
Drummer, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
As of right now, how many students do we have for TOA?
As of right now, we have 7 students who are in TOA. We are looking to grow that number. Students will have, or scholars will have the opportunity to begin TOA at the beginning of each 9-week cycle. So we have closed it for now. There were more scholars that were interested in participating in TOA, but we want to make sure that while this is a beautiful opportunity, that it's something that is an appropriate fit for each scholar. So not everyone who expressed interest was selected. So we'll revisit that again at the beginning of the second 9 weeks, which will be toward the beginning of October.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Drummer.
Thank you.
Business agenda item M, our transportation survey. Information item being presented by Director of Operations, Mr. Tyrone Bacon. Good evening, Mr. Bacon.
Good evening, sir.
Proceed.
Board Chair Harris, Superintendent Bullard, Vice Chair Rouse, board members, stakeholders, here and virtual. Good evening. I'd like to remind everybody of our mission, one team, one goal. And I'd like to put a pin in it. Thank you, Board Member Stokes. And it was funny. He said I seemed like I was riding the backhoe myself, but I wasn't. It was a team. I was the face, but I definitely want to thank all of the folks who helped. And it was a really good situation because that particular parent had a situation with us, Dr. Griffin Stewart, that he probably felt like the school system had abandoned him on several occasions during the year, and that we could be successful in this one thing and come together. So that was myself, Commissioner Birdsong of that area, as long as Chief Waller went out and made sure that the road made specs. Commissioner Birdsong, we don't own backhoes in the district, of course, Ms. Stokes was there as our representative to make sure that all of that happened. So I definitely want to thank everyone who made that happen for those children on East Oak Road that we mentioned before. So with that, our mission is to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to complete globally. So what was our strategic goal in this transportation department? One, we want to create a framework, a data-driven framework that will improve our department. We want to improve our service. We want to have a continuous improvement in communication. We want to communicate intentionally with all of our stakeholders, and we want to create best practices. One thing that we struggle with is creating the sense that we are a customer service-driven organization, that we are not just here to work, we're here to serve, and we needed data to say where were we and where do we need to go. So with that, in the last time that we spoke about bus stops, and we were unclear about what kind of service we provided, how safe were we, and what was the perception of our stakeholders out there in the county. So we gave this survey, as we said we would in the last time that I spoke with you, and about 73 of our constituents responded, and that made about 10% of the population that we serve. So if you look at it, the first question is, which Twiggs County school does your student attend? And it was about even if you break it up by buildings. 50.7% was from Jeffersonville Elementary, and about 50% made up the middle high school. Does your child ride the bus? This is pretty accurate. I would say it's fairly accurate. We believe about 90% of our students ride the bus, but the survey pointed to 83.8%, leaving 16.2% that get to school either walking or by car by parent. Is your child eligible for specialized transportation under an EIP or a 504 plan? 12.5% of our students receive specialized transportation. This is very important for us because specialized transportation, while the number is small, the transportation costs are enormous. We have 2 buses that serve our special needs population, one that drives to Macon and one that serves 4 students. We spend about 40% of our transportation budget transporting special needs students. And we do have special needs students that are transported midday and special needs students that are transported to special programs during the middle of the day. So that does have costs and cost factors. The next question, does your student ride the bus most days? 76.7% of our students ride the bus AM and PM, with a fraction of our students riding the bus even in the mornings and the afternoon, based on the parents' work schedules. A lot of our parents having to get to work, they'll drop them off because that's most convenient. These are the questions that vexed us and were most important to us that are coming up. how far is the bus stop from your home? So we decided when we formulated the questions in the department how to kind of break this up. So we made the scale as follows. 3 to 5 minute walk, and we determined that to be 1/8 to a quarter mile. 10 to 15 minute walk, we determined that to be half to a mile, and beyond 1 mile in distance. So the survey determined that 87.7% are within 3 to 5 minute or 1/8 to 1/4 mile distance, and 10.5% are a mile in distance. And you might say, wow, that's a lot, but that is pretty accurate. When you look at the dirt roads and some dirt roads that we cannot travel down, that they have to meet us going there. So we looked at that. And then the next question, if your student rides the bus, how do they get to the bus stop in the morning? 55.2%, they walk. And 31.3%, they're driven to the stop by a parent. So if you go to a lot of our stops out in the county, you will see cars lined up in the morning with the kids in the car waiting, or some parents just drop them off on their way to work. A lot of times parents call Chief, myself, or Ron waiting on the bus if the bus is a little late because they're waiting to go to work. 90% of our parents work out of county, and that bus being late determines if they're going to be late to work. So that's very important. Another important question, is your child's bus stop located in a safe location? And this is very important because we were under the impression that we were feeling like most of our stops were not safe, that the majority of parents felt that it was not safe. But according to the survey, 91.7% of our parents feel that the bus stops currently are in a safe location. Really want to thank Mr. Ron Chapman for what he does for the district. If there's a student that moves to this district with an unknown address or an address that currently does not have a stop, he goes out personally, he checks the address, he verifies the stop, he takes the bus driver to the stop, he knocks on the door, and he verifies with the people that live there where the stop will be. Sometimes we have to reroute the whole bus because we have a new kid that the stop will not go with the current routing of the bus because of the roads and the situation there. Sometimes we cannot get a student on the bus route within a day or a day period. So it may take us a while. So that's the kind of work that we have to do due to the situation. So you have a lot of really fantastic people doing a really hard job, and we really want to thank them for what they do. The next question. This is inspired by the chairman. Should the Twiggs County School District provide transportation for students participating in after-school activities? 90.3% of the respondents reported that we should. We are looking at opportunities with communities in school at JES. They're going to have an after-school program. We're looking at cost-sharing opportunities with other programs that we may be able to offer this year after-school buses for our students. So we're exploring that opportunity all around for the district, but that's something that our parents really want. It's something that our children really need. And this just proves that fact that we already know. Does your student school bus arrive at the scheduled time? 85.3% say yes, but more importantly, 14.7% say no. Some of that we understand. We have bus drivers that are out. We have the collapse route. But if you're counting on us to be on time to get to your job on time, that 14.7% is not good. We need to do better. Then we gave each of the some open free response questions. Do you have any comments or suggestions to improve us? And by and large, the number one comments as you read them is about us separating middle and elementary school students on the buses. By and large, that's something our parents would want. Now, while we do separate them on the buses, they are talking about separate buses. There's some things that we're discussing in the transportation department about stacking buses and times, but we all know that some things are not necessarily feasible at this time. But as you read through them, bus crowding, we're trying to address that. Someone even gave a shout out to our bus driver of the year, Ms. Veal, and even how we handle some of our problems that we had in the past. So we are going to address these as a team. The next question, which we wanted to know if any of our bus stop locations were not in a safe location, and please give us the location. Only one person did give us the actual location, so if anyone is out here this evening and you have a unsafe location that you feel that is a bus stop in Twiggs County, serviced by the Twiggs County Public School System, please go to the website, click on the survey, and please enter that so we can visit that stop. We do have a 860 Parker Road, which we're going to visit and speak with those folks to make those arrangements if necessary, if we can. What are our next steps? We're going to share all of these findings with the Transportation Department as a whole. We're going to address all areas of immediate concerns. We already have we're going to develop an action plan for the transportation team, and we're going to develop actionable timelines and present the results to our senior cabinet. And you will see definitely marked improvements over the next year. Are there questions?
Sounds to me like you're on the job, son. And you know me. You what not tell you.
Anything for Mr. Bacon? Thank you, Mr. Bacon.
Thank you, Board Chair.
All right. Business agenda item G. This is school zone project update. It's an action item being presented by Mr. Bacon and Mr. Austin. Let's see.
Board Chair Harris, Superintendent Bullard, board members, and constituents. It has been exciting to see the change and the progress in the way we look, our branding, and the improvements that we have going on here on campus. But as always, I'd like us to remember that we are a one school district, one team, one goal, with the mission to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally. So last year, one of the things that we wanted to do was uplift, rebrand who we are. And the School Zone Project is about recapturing corporate pride, school spirit among all Twiggs County public school stakeholders. The School Zone Project will consist of several phases that will be used to reinforce our current branding strategy, implement safety and security, and improve our overall appeal of the school district in the community. Now, last year, when I gave you your first pamphlet, we had clip art of other people's stuff, other people's press box and scoreboards. Those are ours this year. So as you can see, we were able to redo the football stadium, press box, and the concession stand, and some of the other things. So, next slide. So as we did our level of branding all around the school system, I would like to remind you of what did we do in phase one. So, a phase one review. In phase one, we redid Cobra Stadium. We did the media center. We did school speed zone signs. We upgraded Jeffersonville School Media Center. And at that time, we had not completed it. And if you hadn't seen it, please go by and see. It's a wonderful place. It looks really, really good. JS exterior painting. We've installed almost 350 LED lights all over the campus. We've brightened up the campus with paint and lighting. I think it looks wonderful. We get a lot of compliments. Our new wax and, not wax, our new sealant, it looks really good everywhere you go. We even got the Marching Cobras, new instruments. The Lady Cobra softball team, who will be playing soon, new uniforms. And of course, our Cobra football team, new uniforms. So phase one was really, really exciting. Phase two. I don't know if any of you have been out to the high school in the last couple days, but we have started the painting the exterior of the high school, and we expect the exterior of the high school to be finished by August 26th, because we're getting ready for homecoming. The stadium lights. The stadium lights have started going in right now, and we expect those to be completed on August 19th, well before the Cobra's first home game. Spirit flags and on light posts. Ms. Jenkins, no, this is not the finished spirit flag. But we're getting new branding and spirit flags on our light posts. Our light posts have been painted at both schools, and we're waiting for our final draft of our light posts. Blacktopping and restriping the parking lots. The parking lots at Jeffersonville Elementary, the high school, and the central office need blacktopping and restriping. The high school was initially scheduled for the spring, but due to rain and our summer schedule, we are behind our timeline. The vendor will try and complete both schools at the same time, making the purchase more than $25,000. The cost for JES is $16,500. The cost for the high school is $16,500. And the cost for the central office is $14,234. Our procurement policy states the following, because even though they were separate, because now we're running, and even currently we've had a lot of rain as of late. Our procurement policy is in accordance with the board policy. All purchases more than $25,000 must be authorized by the Twiggs County Board of Education. Tonight, we are seeking the board's authority to blacktop and restripe 3 school system parking lots. Are there any questions?
Seeing no questions at this time, I have a recommendation from the superintendent.
Mr. Chair, I recommend that the board approve the blacktopping and restriping of the 3 parking lots that have been aforementioned by Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Dr. Bullock. This time, may I have a motion to accept superintendent's recommendation for the school zone project purchase as presented before us tonight?
So moved.
Motion's been properly made by District 3, Ms. Rhonda King. May I have a second? Seconded by Vice Chair Rouse. Any discussion? No discussion. On everybody saying aye, raising your hand. You accept the motion to accept the school zone project purchase presented before us tonight.
Aye.
Any opposers? No opposers. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Bacon.
Thank you, Board Chair.
Excuse me, Mr. King, Mr. Bacon, before you leave, did you talk to them about phase 4?
Yes. No, I did not. I'm sorry, sir. Been a long day. So, in phase 4 of the school zone project is our athletic infrastructure upgrades. We plan on improving and upgrading our existing restroom facilities. So that's the ones on the home side. We want to upgrade where we go first. I hear some chuckling. And then we will complete the renovation of the high school track. And Mr. Austin is working the numbers so we can look at that in the spring. And then build a restroom facility on the visitor side of Cobra Stadium, in that order. So that is phase 4. So, and the reason why some of these came out of order, we had some supply chain issues. So when we couldn't get certain things, we moved to get the things that we could when we could to keep things moving. Believe it or not, at one point we couldn't get paint, so we moved to something else. It took about 6 months to get those speeding signs. It took 6 months to get those in. We ordered them. Took 6 or 7 months. We had to go get them. So it's been taking a long time to get the things that we want in. So we've been making this work when we get them. And now our focus is safety. So we're making those things that are safety related the top of our list. So get those things in to secure us. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Bacon, thank you for the work that you and your department embarks upon to make us proud. We needed a facelift in our facilities. One of the things that we talked, the board has talked consistently about is retention, and not just teacher retention, but student retention, but just making sure that we brand the district. And so this rebranding is amazing. We know that it will be eye-catching and state of the art once we complete some of these projects. So I'm proud that we're working on our athletic department as well as the district at large. That a lot of people don't pay attention to stuff like parking lot, Mr. Mike, but that parking lot makes a difference. When you pull up, you can tell what people invest in when you pull up on the surface. So I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I appreciate the attention to details as we are building a culture of excellence, and that starts with our branding and our internal workings of the district. So thank you, Dr. Bullock. Business agenda item H, district request, action item being presented by Superintendent Dr. Mac H. Bullock. Good evening, Dr. Bullock.
Good evening, Board Chair Harris, Vice Chair Rouse, board members, all of our constituents that are here with us tonight in person, and those that are joining us virtually. We do have several field trip requests and facility requests that we are seeking board approval for on tonight. I'll start with our field trip request. Coach Ray and Coach Dexter Mormon are requesting to take our middle school football team on a scrimmage game that is going to be out of the district. We typically wouldn't ask your permission to participate in the scrimmage game, but because it is out of the district, we're requesting that the board approves it. That'll be on Wednesday, the 17th, and we wanted to get the approval because we won't have another board meeting prior to that scrimmage game in Valdosta, Georgia. They'll leave at 3:45, and they're planning on returning at 8 p.m. The second field trip request is by our new agricultural teacher, Ms. Morgan Robinson, and she has formed our Future Farmers of America Club, our inaugural club, and she is asking your approval to take them to the Georgia National Fairgrounds to participate in the Central Future Farmers of America Region Rally. That trip will be on September the 13th, which is a Tuesday. And she is asking your permission to take the students to that trip on that particular date. They have not determined the exact time of that rally, but when we get the time, we'll make sure that the board is aware. But she did want to get your approval to take the new Future Farmers of America Club from Twiggs County Middle High School to that central rally that's coming up on the 13th. Our facility requests are as follows. On the 20th of this month, Mr. Broderick Stanley and family are requesting the use of the JES gymnasium and kitchen for the birthday celebration of his mother, our longtime former employee of Twiggs County Public Schools. I understand she started driving the school bus in 1968. And then longtime board member for the Twiggs County Public School. I understand she completed her service in 2010 as a board member. She'll be turning 88 years young on the 20th of August, and they're asking your permission to utilize JES Gym to celebrate her life, and her legacy. Our very own Vice Chair Rouse is representing the Lim Styles Male Choir Memorial, and what they're asking is an opportunity to utilize the JES Gymnasium on October the 16th, which is a Sunday evening. They'd like to utilize that from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And they want to utilize that for a memorial of deceased male choir members. Through the pandemic since 2020, there have been several choirs in community churches that are local that have worshiped and served and fellowshiped together over the years. And they've lost dear brothers and choir members over that period of time. Those choirs have come together as one and want to be able to memorialize those lost male choir members through a memorial concert. They're inviting various guests to participate as well. And that will be on October the 16th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And our very own Ms. Teresa Blackshear is also representing the Danville Baptist Ministry team as they are asking for the use of the Twiggs County Middle High School gymnasium to have their annual cancer awareness program. They look to uplift and provide service and support for all of those individuals who have suffered with and who are currently battling that disease, and they're asking to utilize the gymnasium on the 29th of October, which is a Saturday, in order to sponsor their annual cancer awareness program. Board members, these are the facility requests and the field trip requests that we're seeking your approval on.
Thank you, Dr. Buller, for your thorough presentation of district requests, field trips, and my property. If it pleases the board, I'd like to accept these all at once. Seeing no issue, at this time I have a motion to accept the superintendent's district request as presented before us tonight.
I'll make that motion.
Motion is properly made by Ms. Stokes. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by District 3, Ronnie King. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye, raising your hand. Do you accept this motion? Aye. Any opposers? No opposers. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Bullard.
Thank you, board members.
At this time, I want to point your attention back to the agenda that we moved business agenda item B down into after we conclude executive session. So at this time, I have a motion to exit public session and enter into executive session. If there are no items to be further discussed by the board while we're in public session.
So moved.
Motion is properly made by Ms. Blackshear. May I have a second? Second by Vice Chair Rouse. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye or raising your hand if you accept this motion. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposers? No opposers. That motion carries unanimously. We're now in executive session. Thank you. Bashir, any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye. Raise your hand. Do you accept this motion? Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. That motion carries unanimously. We are now in our public session. Before we adjourn tonight, we semi-tabled a business agenda item, and that business agenda item was item B. I want Mr. Brian Howell to reintroduce item B with his recommendation for contracted services, and then we'll ask Dr. Bullock for his recommendation, and the board will move forward. Thank you, Mr. Howell.
Good evening, Board Chair Harris,
Proceed.
Vice Chair Ross, board members, Dr. Bullock, visitors, and friends that are virtual and in person. Today we'll talk about our contractor-related services and that we do have at Twiz County Public Schools. Before we talk about that, we'll talk about our vision and mission. Our vision, generating excellence, one team, one goal. Our mission, to inspire, challenge, prepare all students to compete globally. And that's what we're doing to try to make sure that our students are getting extra support to compete globally. Our contractor-related services that we offer are physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech language therapy, and school psychology. We currently are using Middle Georgia RESA, Illuma Services. They serve about 10 students at $175 per week, costs about $6,300 a year. Pro Therapy had a bid for $17,900.22, and the Stepping Stone group at $18,432. And right now, again, we want to recommend using, again, Illuma Services for physical therapy. Occupational therapy, we currently use Haynes Therapy Group, which serves about 20 students at $520 per week, with a total cost of $18,720 for 36 weeks. Illuma Services put a bid for $38,000, and the Stepping Stone Group had a bid of $19,432. We currently are using Haynes Therapy Group and want to recommend them again for the same services. Speech Therapy Unlimited serves about 35 of our students, and they charge $1,569.44 per week, total of $56,500. Illuma Services put a bid in for $66,500, and the Stepping Stone Group had a bid for $58,752. And we recommend again Speech Therapy Unlimited to continue for this fiscal year. And our last service that we offer is school psychology, which that's served by Dr. William Evans, serves all students in our PC department for a total of $630 per week, with a total cost of $30,240. Illuma Services put a bid in for $37,000, and the Stepping Stone had a bid of $33,600. And we recommend again using Dr. William Evans as our school psychologist. Any questions?
Dr. Bullard, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Chair and board members, I recommend that you approve Middle Georgia RESA, Illuma Services for physical therapy, Haynes Therapy for occupational therapy, Speech Therapy Unlimited LLC for our speech therapy contract service, and Dr. William Evans for our school psychologist contract services as presented by Mr. Howell.
Board members, we've heard the presentation by Mr. Howell, and we have heard our superintendent's recommendation. We have a motion to accept the recommendation as presented before us tonight.
So moved.
Motion's been properly made by Ms. King. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Rouse. Any discussion? No discussion. Only by saying aye, raising your hand if you accept this motion.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Howell. Dr. Bullard and board members, have we successfully exhausted our business agenda for tonight's meeting?
Mr. Harris, we have covered every agenda item on our agenda for tonight.
And some. Board, any? We have no executive session recommendations for tonight. We have concluded our business. We have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Motion has been probably made by Ms. Shirley Stokes. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Rhonda King. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye, raising your hand. Do you accept this motion? Aye. Any opposers? No opposers. That motion carries unanimously. Good night, Tweaks County.